Now, big news for aviation. This year, we're going to see a brand new airplane enter the sky of the world. Though probably not the whole world. This plane's probably not going to be allowed to fly in Europe nor America because the FAA nor the EASA will certify it. Of course, we're going to talk about the Russian Yakovlev MC-21. You know, Russia, back in the Soviet time, was known for making many airplanes. Planes that are pretty cool. The Tupolev Tu-154, the Tupolev Tu-144, and many other airplanes like the Yakovlev Yak-42. But the thing is, they haven't really made a new plane in a really long time. Okay, maybe the Sukhoi Superjet, which is actually a pretty cool airplane to take a look at as well. But it was about time they make a new one. And it really does look like an Airbus A320. And it confuses people, especially on the Microsoft Flight Simulator Marketplace, because we now have an add-on for it that we can buy for €16.79, which is great in comparison to the unit cost of the real airplane, $72 million, which still is cheaper than the A320 or 737s, of course. But when you convert it to Russian ruble, I mean, if you're an airline and buying this plane, your bank account statement looks like a phone number. It's 5 billion Russian rubles. Either way, I'm very much excited to be able to fly this airplane here in the flight sim, even though it's made by the developer of MC-Scenery, so it's gonna suck big time. But hey, I'm gonna buy it. Something that's strange is that this plane doesn't specify which version of the MC-21 it really is, because there's actually 3 versions of this plane, the 200, 300, and 310, which is a bit random. Anyway, while we're downloading this plane, the airline of Russia is the one that is expected to take over service this year. Of course, it is a little bit odd how long this airplane actually took to be introduced. I mean, it had its first flight nearly 10 years ago, and it was expected to enter service 4 years ago as well. But of course, this plane took so long because it had to be completely redesigned. After all, this is what the first prototypes of this airplane looked like. Can you see something here? These are engines from the Americans. This plane was supposed to be powered by the Pratt & Whitney 1400G engines. Amazing engines, of course. It's the same engine that powered the Airbus A220 as well as the Airbus A320neo. But the problem is, Pratt & Whitney, just the name, is an extremely American company. So by 2022, because the Russians decided to piss off the rest of the world, this plane would heavily struggle from the sanctions. They're not allowed to buy any airplane parts from the other part of the world, which is a big issue, because can you see these instruments? All of the avionics, they look strangely a lot like the cockpit of an Airbus A220. Wait, hold on. This is interesting. Here's a side-by-side. It's literally the same. It's literally the exact same. Can you see that? No, genuinely, all we have is some more screens here. But other than that, this is the same cockpit. Nearly. Which is great. It would be a great cockpit. The problem is, it's made by this company, Rockwell Collins. They build a bunch of aviation systems for all types of airplanes. And of course, it's in Cedar Rapids of Iowa. Couldn't be more American. So yes, the Russians had to now come up with their own avionics solution, Concerned Radio Electronics Technology. It's a great name, very catchy. As well as their own engine, the Aviadvigatel PD-14, which is an impressive engine, I guess. Only 13 of them have been built though, but it's apparently supposed to compete very well with their competitor from America, like the CFM LEAP engine, as well as the originally proposed Pratt & Whitney engine. So all is well now. They have got the parts, they've got it figured out. So it is time to fly this. This is not going to be a good representation of what the airplane will be like at all, but that's fine. It's funny how the Yakovlev MC-21 doesn't even have an image, like a thumbnail image. They didn't even bother that here from MC-Scenery. God, I hate them. But let's spawn this airplane into Sheremetyevo Airport. Once again, flying this airplane in European or American airspace, not possible at all, or not legally, along with other Russian jets. Even the Sukhoi Superjet has had its certification suspended. It's crazy, you can't fly that plane. But in the grand skies of Russia, this is no problem at all. And God, this airplane looks like a toy plane. Actually, doesn't really pay huge respects to what this plane should look like. Like, it's generally not that ugly. Okay, never mind. Actually, it does look like a toy plane even in real life. What the hell is that nose? Must be very aerodynamic. Anyway, this is what the plane looks like here in the flight sim. Now, obviously, the modeling hasn't been done well, but yeah, the distinctive nose is there. We're on board the only livery that we have, the S7 Airlines, which is funny because S7 hasn't even ordered this plane. I mean, couldn't you have maybe done Aeroflot or Rossia or Utair or Red Wings? I don't get it, but this plane looks like a 7-Up plane now. This is now the Russian-made engine, but I'm really excited to take a look into the Russian-made cockpit, ladies and gentlemen. And oh, yeah, actually, they have put a little bit of work in this, although the autopilot is wrong. That's just an autopilot panel from the A320. As well as the overhead panel, but like we have a little bit of an idea of how modern this plane could look. Now the cabin, of course, is not in here. They haven't put any work into this plane and making it actually look proper, but that's all right. So let's go and turn on the airplane, which does look like an Airbus A320. Turn on the external power. These systems become available, and it's just the screens of the A320, but without the bezel. And this looks absolutely horrible. And this is also powered by the Pratt & Whitney engines, which is now wrong. We don't really see that, and we won't really see that in real life. They won't have the Pratt & Whitney American engines, nor will they have any Airbus systems. What they will have, though, is an APU that we've just turned on. Of course, made by a Russian company called Aerosila, which have been making the auxiliary power units for most Russian jets. Look at that. Anyway, none of anything works in the cockpit, actually. That's fairly interesting. Not even the lights can be operated. Hey, but at least the autopilot panel works. It just doesn't look great. Now, by the way, since we just talked about cabin, this is what the cabin would look like. It's really like a normal person wouldn't be able to tell any difference, you know. They would just say, oh, this is an airliner. Great. I've kind of just realized how cursed this airplane looks, you know, with the weird instruments from the A320. Doesn't make any sense at all, but let's go ahead and take off. The problem is this add-on doesn't even have a brake, so we can't unset the parking brake. I have to find the switch to do that. Oh my goodness. Brake. Okay, where's that? Control and... okay, good. All right, let's unleash the beast. Which doesn't work. I can't actually move this plane. Oh, it's one of those retarded airplanes where you have to press in a little bit of brakes in order for this plane to move at all. So you have to go and put a little brake in. And that's so dumb. But look at this, ladies and gentlemen. We are starting to fly, and something is really odd about this landing gear. I feel like something is weird about the texturing. Yeah, the texturing is broken. They haven't done that properly. But hey, we can fly at least. Wow, we can fly very well with the worst of physics that Microsoft Flight Simulator has ever seen. Yeah, great. Let's go and put the landing gear up, please. Which looks like this. Now. Great. And something that's really weird about this model as well. Why would you need so many AOA indicators? What in the world? That's a lot of AOA sensors right there. Actually, the plane had this many sensors in real life. Okay, interesting. Hey, yeah, this add-on completely sucks. At least it gives me a reason to talk about the MC-21. I really wonder whether we're gonna actually see this airplane fly in passenger service this year. Probably not. I mean, certification, even in Russia, I guess, takes a really long time. They don't want a plane to crash because of like a dual engine failure. These are engines that have never really been tested in flight before. Only 5 of these engines were built. Only 2 of these main aircraft were built as well. This is completely new. So this is going to be very interesting. I'm not really interested in flying this add-on, however. It just sucks. It has the physics of an A320. What I find really interesting, by the way, is the fact that this airplane does not have any winglets or sharklets or anything. Now, can this plane be as good as an Airbus or a Boeing? Maybe. It literally does all the things that an Airbus or a Boeing would do as well. And I don't think it's wise to generally think that this airplane would be unsafe or anything. It might be. But the question is, would you fly on the MC-21? I would rather be on an Airbus until we know more about how safe it is. So, thank you guys so much for watching this video, and I'll see you guys tomorrow as always. Good night. The special thanks goes out to my members, my supporters, Guns Killer, R27, James Duram, That Dude, Anime Gods of Gaming, Derek, Insider Plane, Nishijitsu Finder, Professional Jamal, Ryland Williams, and New the York. You've got beautiful names.